Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Shall we wait for 2 to 3 minutes? Others will also join.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yes, good afternoon once again. Let's begin our class. So, in the last class, what did we talk about? What was the topic that we covered in the last class? It was about how what were the processes through which the English language became affluent in terms of vocabulary, isn't it? So, we talked about. Am I audible to you?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So we talked about in last class we completed unit number 13, and today we are going to jump into unit number 18, that is the meaning. Okay, so here we are going to study about meaning, or linguistically it is called semantic, and the units that we are overlapping are actually related to grammar. So we will come to that after finishing this one, because this is little theoretical. So once we will discuss this, we will talk about that. Okay. So earlier I also have mentioned some of the linguistic terms like, okay, what is syntax, what is phonology, phonetics. Here the unit that we have is about meaning. Okay. Now I have mentioned here obviously that, okay, semantic is nothing but a scientific study of meaning. Okay, how meanings get uh, its existence of a particular word. It could be of a particular word or a phrase or idiom. Okay, that we had already discussed in the last class. So meaning is, in semantics, meaning is a product that is actually what can I say, that comes up through our understanding, through the culture we are sharing, or you can also say that, okay, that could also be related to our mentalistic approaches. Okay, so there are three approaches of understanding the meaning of sentences. One is denotational, another one is pragmatic, and mentalistic. Okay, so have you ever gone through what is denotation and connotation? What is denotation and connotation? Yes, this is the thing. Okay, so we have already discussed about it, what is denotation and what is connotation. In the last class, we talked about this, and there are three approaches in semantics or in meaning, and one of them and two of them are denotation and connotation. Connotation is nothing but the mentalistic approach. The first one is denotational approach, second one is pragmatic, and uh, mentalistic approach. So we already read about this, that denotation is nothing but the original, primary, or referential meaning of a word. As for example, you can take the word red over here. Okay, now the word red is symbolizing nothing but the color redness. Okay, redness is the symbolization of that particular thing. On the other hand, connotation is the deeper meaning. It could be, related to someone's feelings, emotions, overtones, his culture, and societal influence as well. Okay, so similarly here, if you will take the example of red, that can also mean, also connotes blood and dagger in some cultures, in someone's mind. Okay, if he has a bad experience in his life, he could have a meaning other than blood and dagger as well. Okay, so it actually related to the inner feelings, it is related to the society in which someone has brought up. It also connotes something that is very, related to someone's culture. So we'll talk about everything. So I have come to this slide only because we have to deal with these things. Okay. Number one is denotational. So denotational is nothing but the primary or the original meaning that actually something signifies. You can say anything. Okay. If you are talking about a pen, so a pen actually signifies nothing but a pen that we use to write. Okay. Now that is the denotation meaning. But a pen also connotes something else. That is the mentalistic thing. In mentalistic approach, what happened that in our mind we have certain kind of connotation that is not similar to all people. The connotation that I have regarding a red color could differ from my friend. Okay, so my understanding about a particular thing and others understanding wouldn't be similar. That is my mindistic approach towards a particular thing, and that is not the product of my mind only. Okay, if that would be the case, then every people or every person idea about a particular word would be similar, but it differs from person to person because we live in different societies, different cultures, meet with different peoples, follows particular patterns or other things. So based on that, it differs. Okay, and another one is pragmatic. Now, what is pragmatic? What do you know about term pragmatic? It is completely the it's talk about the use or utility. Okay, it's talk about the use or utility of a particular sense of a meaning. Okay, like we have certain mythical concept in every cultures. In every society there are some fixed words, fixed terms to symbolize something. So such kind of things are completely related to a particular society. So the pragmatic approach emphasizes the social aspect of meaning. Okay. According to this view, the meaningfulness of a language lies in the way in which speakers use the language. This language is seen as a means by which people communicate, and meaning is derived from uses. So when we will use that in a particular society, that will become a pragmatic view, a pragmatic understanding of a particular word or sentence or phrase, anything. Okay, so these were the three steps that we have to talk about. Okay, now the another thing that we have to talk about here in this unit is what is ambiguity. Okay, now ambiguity has also two types. Let me write that here: structural and functional. Okay, so there are two types of ambiguities. One is a structural ambiguity, another one is functional ambiguity. Okay, now see here, uh, what is ambiguity? Have you ever go through this word? What do you know about ambiguity? See, today's class is more about practical things, so I will ask you and you have to respond. Okay, but from the next class that we will have, and the last class, obviously. So in the last class, we will have some linguistic aspect, like we will discuss about social linguistic, how society and the cultural influences have on language. So we will talk about that. So that will also be a theoretical class. So I will talk about that later in the next class. But here in this class, we are basically going to deal with grammar and the grammatical parts of like sentence, are like parts of speech like verbs, then we have tense, modality, and some other things. So I will ask you few questions. If you don't know, please respond, okay, that I don't know. Otherwise, please give some response, okay? So have you ever gone through the word ambiguity? What do you understand by the word ambiguity? More than two interpretations. Okay, more than two interpretations of something is called ambiguity. Ambiguity is a vague kind of meaning. Okay, ambiguity is a vague kind of meaning when a word may have more than one or two meanings. Okay, more than one or two meanings. That is what is called ambiguity. When a word will have more than one or two meaning, that is what is called ambiguity. Now there are two types of ambiguity. One is structural ambiguity, and another one is called uh, functional ambiguity. So I will explain this using some examples. Let me write here that I am way. See, this is one of the example. And now in this example, what I actually got to know that
Bank.
this,
It can be river bank or it can be the financial bank.
yes, here in this example, this word has a double meaning over here. Okay, and because of this word only, the structure has a kind of meaning, double meaning. Okay, so this could be a very obvious example over here. Now let me give another example in functional. Here, what I will write now. Okay, see this example. Millie is a girl Millie with an umbrella kicked her friend. Now here, if you will see it, here Millie is the person who is doing an action, that is kicking someone. Now it could have two meanings here also because of the function, because of the structure. So here you can also say that it is a deep structure over here. So here this complete sentence has two meanings. One could be like, okay, that Millie kicked her friend with an umbrella. Okay, and another thing is simply that Millie who kicked her friend had an umbrella with her. Okay, so these two types of meanings can be there. Okay, so this is what is called ambiguity. Okay, now there are two ambiguities. We talked about the structural and functional ambiguities. In your book, you will find that structural ambiguity is there, and the
What's
name
the
is
difference
something.
between structural and functional? I mean, you've taken bank over there, and here it is umbrella. With the umbrella, you can kick, or
No, one.
yeah.
Yes. The thing is that one thing when we can have two kinds of ambiguity. In one types of ambiguity, the structure. So I have put it in wrong way. Okay, just a minute. This will be here, and this example will be here. Okay. Now in functional ambiguity, what we will have is that in functional ambiguity, there will be a particular word that will have more than one meaning rather than the entire sentence or the structure. Okay. In functional ambiguity, there will be a particular word that will have more than one meaning, not the entire sentence or not the structure of the sentence. But if you will look in this sentence, this particular phrase, okay, this prepositional phrase has a double meaning over here. Okay, and here in this we have only uh, ambiguity in this word only, that is bank. Okay, that is why it is called functional, and this one is called structural. Why? Because here there is a, there is a vagueness in the structure. Millie could have kicked her friend. Millie could have kicked her friend with an umbrella, or it could also mean that Millie who kicked her friend had an umbrella with her, but she didn't kick her with her. You can, change this verb here, beat. Okay,
Okay. So the structural is related to the phrases, the
not only
sentence
phrases,
structure.
it's related to the structure. If there is a problem or if there is a kind of double meaning within the structure, that is called structural. And the functional, there will be a
Only
single word
word.
which will, yeah, that will bear the connotation of two meanings
Okay.
or three meanings. Yeah. Now let's move to our unit 3. These are the things only here in unit number 18. There are no other things to discuss over here. And in unit number 14, there we have to discuss about phrase. Okay. Now we will turn into the grammatic portion. And in the grammar, we have so many things to cover. But what we will do is that I will ask you a few questions. If you will fail to understand, if you will fail to give me correct answer, I will explain that. Okay. Otherwise, we will move on. Now, let me turn on the page. Okay. So before you could see this, let me know, what do you think about phrase? What is a phrase? Yes, anyone of you, can you tell me? We talked about letters, we talked about sound, we talked about syllables, and then we talked about words as well, that is like sim. And now we're going to talk about phrase. After that, we'll talk about sentence, sorry, clauses and sentence, and then finally we'll talk about tense and other things. Okay. So we'll try to bind this up the grammatical question today. So what do you think about phrase? What is a phrase? No one want to answer?
Could you please repeat your question, sir? Like you're
What
asking
is,
about idiom?
no, I'm asking about phrase. What is phrase?
A group of words or a sentence.
A sentence cannot be a phrase. Okay, a group of words. Okay, I have mentioned it over here. A phrase consists of a group of words or a group of words that function as a unit. Okay, it is the basic unit of a word building process. A phrase may become part of another phrase to form even a larger phrase. Thus, a sentence is not a string of words, rather it is built up of phrase and has a hierarchical structure. Now here, when we will talk about phrase, this is very important because you have to study about verb, you have to study about verb phrase and noun phrase. These two phrases are very important because you have a subtopics over here in this chapter that is related to uh, tree diagram of a sentence. How to build a tree diagram, how to draw a tree diagram. Okay, so phrase is nothing but a group of word or words that function as a grammatical unit, and when we will put it into a sentence, into a complete one, that will become a sentence. Now there are 8 parts of speech, isn't that? How many parts of speech there? There are 8 parts of speech. There are 8 parts of speech, and all these 8 parts of speech have their own phrases. Okay. Now there are four major uh, phrases and four minor phrases. Now what are the major phrases? That is related to noun phrase. Noun phrase. Then we have verb phrase, adjective, adjective phrase, and prepositional phrase. So there are four major phrases. These are the major phrases that is related to the parts of speech, and there are other parts of speech as well, like we have adverb, we have conjunctions, interjections, and uh, pronouns. Okay, so based on that we have some minor phrases. Now these phrases are very important. Why? Because let me write a sentence. Okay, and we will actually learn this using some certain sentences so that it will become very easy. The girl
who these people are.
Okay, so let's talk about this one. See, the girl is reading slowly. Here, this particular sentence has a phrase, okay, that is called a noun phrase. And a noun phrase must have to have a determiner, okay. A determiner should have it. It could be a predeterminer or postdeterminer. Then it should have a noun as well, okay. So this could also be called a noun phrase. Now, slowly is an adverb here. Slowly is adverb that is modifying the process of reading, that is whether it is slow or fast. So it is an adverb that is modifying the verb that is reading. Okay. Now in this sentence we have a noun phrase. Now a complete sentence. A complete sentence the boys play cricket. Now this is a complete sentence here. Now a complete sentence has two parts. One is called NP and another one is called VP. Okay. So a complete sentence is divided into two parts. One is called NP and another one is called VP. Now what is NP and VP? NP is nothing but a noun phrase. Okay. And one more thing that we have to study here is that how to identify that which one is the noun phrase or adjective phrase, or what is the head of a phrase. Okay. Head of a phrase. Now what is the head of a phrase? Now if you will have a phrase like add me over here, like in the morning the girls of the convent school, etc. Now see these two examples. Okay. See, look at these two examples. That is in the morning, and the next one is the girls of the convent school. The first thing that we have to look here in any phrase is that what is the word or what is the syllable that is the main who is functioning as in this particular phrase. So if you will see here in this particular word, in this particular phrase, we have only in. Okay. In is what? It is a preposition, isn't that? In is preposition. Then we have a determiner, that is the, and morning is what? It is noun. So that's why here we can say that this particular phrase is a prepositional phrase, because here in, when we are talking about it, this is a phrase when we are talking about separately. But if you will use it in different way in a sentence, you will get to know this very easily. Okay. In the morning I wake up early, or I early in the morning. Now when we talk about only this portion, this is what is called prepositional phrase, because the head of this phrase is preposition, that is in. It will be also very clear when we will talk about the next example, that is the girls of the convent school. Now here the girls, okay, the girls are the head. Why they are head? Because the entire phrase is talking about the girls. Now the girls are nouns. It is preceded by a determiner, that is the, and the other things are there is one preposition is there after the noun, that is the girls. Then we have a determiner again. Then we have again two nouns over here, convent school. Okay. So if the main part or if the main thing of that particular phrase is noun or pronoun or adjective, the phrase will also be called on that name or in that name, like a noun phrase or an adjective phrase or prepositional phrase. Okay. And the and that particular noun or adjective or what I can say, that adverb, if that is the main part of that particular phrase, that is called the head of that phrase. Okay. Now I was talking about the thing that, okay, a complete sentence can be divided linguistically into two parts. And what are the two parts? One is noun phrase and another one is verb phrase. Okay. So before the verb, it is called noun. From the verb to the rest of the thing of this is called uh, verb phrase. Okay. The first one is noun phrase, second one is called verb phrase. Now, what kind of question they may ask? How we will determine this? Now, there are so many things to understand over here that noun phrase could have so many things. Now, let's discuss about noun phrase. Okay, noun phrase could have a determiner, that is uh, let me write it in simple form. Determiner, then we have noun, or say that we could have a pronoun, we could have sorry, prepositions as well, like or yes, prep, plus again noun phrase would be there. And so these much things can be added into a noun phrase. As if you will take here, this is determiner, then we have noun, then again we have preposition, then determiner, then noun again. Okay. Now let me show you one thing over here in internet, so it will be easy for you to understand here how to draw a tree diagram of sentence. Otherwise, you can turn on your pages in your book. See, this is how a tree diagram looks like. Okay, so let me take a very simple sentence. Yes, this could be a very good example, I think. Where is it? However, is it visible to you? This one, this picture. See the entire sentence. Children put the toy in the box. Okay, the children put the toy in the box. So the first thing that we have to mention over here is a sentence that is denoted by s. Then we have to divide it into two things. One is noun phrase, another one is verb phrase. Okay. Now noun phrase could have so many things, but in basics what we have is that here we have a determiner, the, and have children. Okay. I think it is not so much visible to you. Just a minute. Is it visible to you? If you will zoom the page, you will get to know. Okay, see here the example is that the children put the toy in the box. So there will be a head that is called sentence, and this complete words together are called a sentence. So we have to mention s for sentence, and we have to divide into two parts. One is noun phrase, another one is verb phrase. So in noun phrase, a noun phrase is made up of so many things. It could have a predeterminers or post determiners. Then we could have nouns and pronouns. Then we could also have an attached prepositional phrase or adjective phrase. Okay, so here only we can find that okay, there are two things in the noun phrase. One is the and another one is children. So the is determiner, that is a definite article, or you can say determiner, and another one is noun, that is children. So both these two together make the noun phrase, and in the verb phrase we have so many things. We have the verb that is put, then we have a noun phrase and a prepositional phrase. See here in the noun phrase we have the boy, put the, sorry, toy. Okay, put the toy. So here the is an again determiner and the toy is again a noun. So it makes a noun phrase again. Then we have in the box. Now in is preposition, and the box again a noun phrase, because the is determiner and n is noun. Sorry, box is noun. So again noun phrase and preposition makes prepositional phrase, and again here the noun phrase within that verb phrase. So all these things makes this verb phrase together. So this is how what we have to make it. So it will be difficult to understand in this way. So what you have to do, that you will recall all the things that I am telling you now, and you just have to go through once in your book. Okay, if you will go through it from your book, it will be very clear to you. Okay, now let's back to that. Yeah, is it clear to you? I mean, is it understandable to you? Okay, thank you. Now see, we have talked about a phrase. Okay, so phrase is nothing but a group of word or words together that play as a function as a unit in a sentence. There are several ways to make a sentence. Okay, a phrase can connect to with another phrase to make a larger phrase, and then it can make a sentence at a complete one. Okay, and on the other hand, we talked about that there are major phrases and minor phrases. So based on the types of parts of speeches, there are 8 phrases as well, and 4 of them are major phrases and 4 of them are minor phrases. But when we are talking about tree diagram of a sentence, what we have to understand clearly is that is noun phrase and verb phrase. When a phrase talks about a noun, it is noun phrase. When a phrase talks about a verb, that is a verb phrase. Okay. Now, if we will divide a sentence into 2 things, we have to divide it into 2 things. One is noun phrase and verb phrase. The noun phrase ends when the verb begins, and the verb phrase begins when the with the verb. So in this sentence, the boys. Okay, in this sentence, the boys is noun phrase, and play cricket. You can also add something over here. Okay, play cricket in the field. You can also make this sentence adding n number of prepositional phrases, adjective phrases. Okay, so it can go on, or you can also make it a complex sentence or a compound sentence. So there will be some other format of making tree diagrams, but as a basic way of drawing this tree diagram, what we have to understand that when the verb starts, it's completely a verb phrase, even though we will have other phrases along with it. So the beginning of the verb is the beginning of the verb phrase, and the first things before the verb is called noun phrase. So we have to divide into that way, and then we have to mark each of the words, and based on that we have to, you know, you know, clip them together within noun phrase and within verb phrase to show that okay, a sentence is built with these 2 things. One is noun phrase and verb phrase. Okay. Now, yes.
उठ गई पटकली.
Okay, so we talked about phrase, we talked about also the meaning, that is semantics, and now we have to move into some other things, that is other important thing, that is verb. Okay, because without understanding what is verb clearly, we cannot jump into what is sentence, what is tense, what is joining clauses, all these things. Okay, so let's first talk about verb. Okay, Let me erase this all these things. Now here we are going to talk about verb. So what is a verb? Can you tell me? What does a verb actually symbolize?
Any action.
Any action. That's very good. Then anything else? A verb actually denotes three things especially. But since our childhood, our teachers told us that verb means the actions. Okay, verb means the word that plays the action, that function as a uh, as an action. Okay, but that is one kind of interpretation of a particular word that is called verb. But it has three aspects that it can denotes. Possession, yeah, that's very good. Muhammad Jinnat, she said that possession is one of them. Okay, so first thing is action, then another one is possession, and the third one is state. Okay, so let us understand these three aspects of a verb, giving some examples. Now a verb can symbolize three things. One is it can symbolize an action, it can also symbolize or it can also express something related to possession and state. Okay, now let's understand. If I'm saying here that he goes to school, here this is my pen, see, these three sentences are very self-declarative of the actions that a verb actually does. The first one is action, obviously, that here the noun or the person is doing an action, that is going somewhere in a school. Okay, so it is actually performing as an action, isn't that? So here goes actually is an action, but here in this is not doing an action. Here is showing what? Here is showing possession. This is my pen, because the noun is what? The noun is related to the verb, because when we are talking about this verb, we are not only talking about the verb, we are talking also taking the noun here as well, the person here as well. So the subject is connected with the verb, and it is also connected with the object, that is this is my pen. Okay, or this is his motorcycle. So when something will be under someone's possession and that will be expressed with an auxiliary verb, that will be called possession. So a verb also shows or express possession. And another one is state of something. So here I have talked about the state of a boy who is ill. So here this particular verb here shows an illness. Okay, illness of someone, that is a state, a condition. Okay, so a verb can either express an action, it can also express possession, and it can also express what? An state. Now there are so many types of verbs. Broadly there are two types of verbs. What are they? What are they? Is it clear to you that a verb defines action, possession, and state? Mainly based on function. Based on function, how many types of verbs are there? Can anyone tell me? So there are two types of verbs. One is main verb, another one is called auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verb means that is a helping verb that helps another verbs. That is what is called helping verb. Okay, that is also help some other the subject and predicate of a sentence. So here the main verb is in this examples. If you go here, this is a main verb. Okay, this is a main verb. That is go. Go is a main verb, but these auxiliaries, this is my pen here, is not a main verb because it cannot function independently. It also needs some help. Okay, so this is a functional word and this is nothing but a auxiliary verb. So there are 24 auxiliaries and rest of the verbs are main verbs. Okay, so rest of the verbs are main verbs and there are 24 auxiliaries like am, is, was, were, have, has, had, do, did, does. Then we have modal auxiliaries like can, could, may, might, must. Okay, so you just have to go through that and you have to remember these things. Okay, now this was the one criteria of dividing verbs into two things, that is main verb and auxiliary verb. There are other things as well like transitive verb and intransitive verb. Okay, so these verbs are actually categorized based on object. Okay, so based on object, verbs can be divided into two categories. One is transitive, another one is called intransitive. Okay, what is transitive verb? When a verb takes an object with it, it is called transitive verb. And when a verb doesn't take an object with it, is called intransitive verb. Is it clear? Now let me write an example. The C. When a verb will take an object, that will be called a transitive verb. When it will not take an object, it will be called intransitive verb. So in this example, if you look at this example, you will find that this sentence has an object with it, but the next sentence doesn't have an object. Now, why it doesn't have an object? What is the definition of an object? How a object actually gets its quality of an object? So when to become an object, the object has to have or must have to be a noun or pronoun. So if you will look at this sentence, the object is a car. Car, that means a noun. So that's why it is called object. But here, sorry. Okay, stop suddenly. Here in this sentence, see here, suddenly is not an object. Why? Because this is not a noun or pronoun. This is an adverb. Okay. So that's why some verb, when it takes an object with it, that becomes transitive verb. And when it doesn't take any object with it, it becomes intransitive verbs. I hope that it is clear with you, because based on what can I say, that based on object, it can be divided into two categories. One is transitive, another one is intransitive. Okay. Now let's talk about verbs according to what can I say, subject and tense. Okay, so based on subject and tense, there are two types of verbs as well. One is finite, another one is infinite verb. Okay, have you ever gone through all these things? Anyone please respond. Turn on your mic and tell me. Don't write in the comment box.
No, sir.
No. Okay. So let me talk about it again once again. So we were talking about verbs. So a verb can, express three things. One is action, another one is possession, and then state. There are several types of verbs. Based on function, it has two types. One is main verb, another one is auxiliary verb. Okay, because it helps the main verb, and main verbs can stand alone and they can express themselves independently. Another one is based on object. We have transitive verb and intransitive verb. The verb that takes an object with it is called transitive. Okay, this is the verb, and it takes an object with it, that is the car. So that's why it is called transitive. And here in this sentence, this verb doesn't take an object with it, because suddenly is not an object, because it is not a noun or pronoun. And an object, a word become object when it is a noun or a pronoun. Only in such cases a word can be an object. Now, based on tense and subject, based on tense and persons, okay, singular number, plural number, all these things, verb can be of two types. One is finite verb, another one is non-finite or infinite verb. Now, let me give an example here. See, example number 1. See here that he goes to school. Example number 2, they go to market. Okay, now see another example. Went to bazaar. Okay, see here, when a verb, okay, when a verb changes according to the subject and the tense, that is what is called finite verb. See here in this sentence, the verb had changed only because of the subject. The verb had changed only because of the subject again, and in this the verb had changed based on tense. So when a verb changes according to the subject and what, and according to the tense, that is what is called finite verb. Because see here, the main form of this verb is go. Now here we added es with it, makes it singular because the subject is singular. Here the verb, here the subject is plural, that's why we have used go because of that. So they is plural, the verb is also plural. Now here Ram, it is talking about past tense, that's why it is went instead of go or gone. Okay, so when a verb changes according to the subject and what, and the tenses, that is what is called finite verb. And when it doesn't change based on subject and tenses, that is what called infinite verb. As for example, you can say here like the boy loves SWI swimming. Okay, they let it be. Okay, see here, this swimming is a verb. Okay, this swimming is a verb over here, but before that there is another verb. Okay, before that there is another verb. Okay, that is the main verb, and this is the infinite verb, or you can say it is a gerund. Okay, it is a gerund. So I'm not going to discuss about all these things, gerund, infinitive, and participle. So that will take more time. Superficially, you can understand that, okay, when the verb is not even changing. Why? Because the boy is here and the boy is singular. This verb has changed. This is a finite verb because it changes. Okay. Now this verb is not changing, not only in this case, even in this case also. Even though the tense is moved to past tense. So even though the tense has changed, even though the voice has changed, yet it is not actually changing. That's what is called infinite verb, non-finite verb. Okay. So this was all about verb. Now let's move to sentence. Okay. Is there any question? Is there any query you can ask me? Do you have any query?
No, sir.
No? Okay. Now, the topic that we are going to talk about is very easy and simple. You must have know about it. What is a sentence? Let's talk about sentence. Okay. What is a sentence?
A sentence is a group of words that
Mhm.
form together to give the meaning
Yes.
of the sentence.
Yes.
Group of words that gives the meaning.
Yes. That's very good. Now here we are going to talk about sentence. Okay. So sentence are some group of words that express a particular meaning or that express a meaning. When we will put together some words and they will express a particular meaning, and that should be complete. If that is not complete, that will become a phrase. Okay. So that should completely express the meaning. That should be complete within itself. Okay. That is when it will become a sentence. Now there are several types of sentences. You might have heard of them. Now I'm asking you that please tell me how many types of sentences are there or what?
4 types of sentence.
Four. Okay, you just tell me, I'm just writing away. Okay, number one,
Declarative, imperative, interrogative, exclamative.
declarative, in interrogative, then
Imperative,
imperative, imperative, and what is the fourth one?
exclamative.
Exclamatory. That's very good. So we have five type of sentences. Okay, what are they? The last one is optative. We have five type of sentences in general. Okay, but based on other functions, we have three type of sentences. One is simple sentence, one is complex sentence, and compound sentence. So we will talk about that later, but first let's talk sentence or a statement in general. What is a statement? We express something in a very common way, in a very general way about anything. Okay, it could be sadness, it could be your happiness, it could be about a particular thing. You can pass your judgment in words. That is what is called declarative sentence. Like if I will say that the day is very hot today in Hyderabad, so this is what is called declarative sentence. You are declaring something, you are expressing something regarding a particular phenomena or a person or a thing. Okay, that is what is called declarative sentence. Now, interrogative sentence is very common to you when you are asking something, when you are interrogating something to someone to know something or to get some information regarding the thing that you are asking is what called interrogative sentence. Now, interrogative sentence has also two types. One is yes/no question, another one is WH questions. Okay, how many WH words are there in English language? Can anyone tell me?
Who? What?
5.
Just tell me
Why?
the number. How many words are there, WH words. Let me give you a clue, 8 or 9.
8.
Yeah, it has 9 WH words. Okay, so there are two type of interrogative questions or interrogative sentences. In one type, we simply get yes and no as answer. Okay, and in one types, we have to describe something. Why something has happened? What is the thing that we were talking about? Okay, so when we will ask questions, begin with WH words that will have to have an explanation, have to have a description that requires some kind of description. But if the question has begun with the auxiliary verbs, like, is this your book? What will be the answer? Either yes or no. If that book belongs to you will say yes, otherwise you will say no. Okay. Is this your name? Okay. Now, when you will ask questions using the auxiliary verbs, that is what is called questions related to yes no questions. Okay, that is what is called yes no questions. Now we have imperative sentence. What is imperative?
Request, comment, order.
Hmm? Request, command, isn't that? So to give commands, to give orders, that is what is called imperative sentence. When you are ordering someone to somebody, when you are giving orders, when you are giving commands, that is what is called imperation or imperative.
Hello, sir. We can't hear you.
Yes? Is there anyone who is saying something?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So the next one is optative sentence. In imperative sentence, we gives commands, we gives orders. In optative sentence, we shows a desire, our wishes, our longings to have something, to do something, to eat something. Okay. So when we will show our desires, okay, that I want to be a teacher, I want to be a lecturer, I want to be a doctor. When we will show that today I want to have a pizza. So if you will show your desire, okay, that is what is called optative sentence. And the one is exclamatory sentence. This is very easy. Okay, when you will exclaim something, looking at something, if you exclaim that, okay, the thing that is very astonishing, so the thing that is very sadness, full of sadness, and you will use some exclamatory words like hurrah, bravo, okay, ouch, and so many things. So such kind of sentences are called exclamatory sentence. Okay. So let me talk simply about the three other type of sentences based on other things. That is, one is simple sentence. Number two is complex sentence. Then we have compound. See, these topics are very complex, not complex, but very easy, but it will take time. Even 6 months is not enough to complete these topics because I need, not only I, if anyone will teach, even if someone from you will teach, you will also have the requirement to explain them in a proper way, in a systematic way. But as we are time bounded, we have to finish it as we can do it. Okay. If you are not satisfied, then you have to ask your department that, okay, we want to extend the days of class so that we can learn with ease and calmness. Because 8 classes is not sufficient. If you will attend the classes in a regular mode, you have to attend all the classes throughout the semester. That means a 6-month course. So this particular topic, this particular subject is designed based on that you will complete it within 6-month course. But we don't have that much time, isn't it? Because we are in distance mode, so we have to finish it within 12 hours. And now we have completed almost 10 and 30 minutes. We have left only half an hour, 1.5 hours. So that will be in 21st, I think. So there are 3 other type of sentences. One is simple sentence, another one is complex sentence, and compound sentence. So any sentence that we express in a simple way, it can be a command, it could be a desire, it could be a declaration. Okay, all these sentences are called simple sentence. Okay, if I write here that the day is pleasant today, आज की दिन बहुत ही अच्छा है. If I will say that the day is pleasant today, or the day is very charming, the weather is very charming. So this sentence is called what? This sentence is called a simple sentence. Now, what is a complex sentence? To understand complex sentence, we have to spend almost 3 to 5 days to understand clauses. There are several types of clauses. I cannot explain them in a very short view. So it will be your duty to study that at home. And in the next class, I will talk about discourse and discourse analysis. That is from 19th and 20th chapter. That is also very important. That talks about language and society. What is the importance of society and societal influence on language? And there is another chapter that is called the varieties of English language. There we will talk about American accent. Then we will talk about British accent and something else, other accents. Okay. So this even though we don't have much time yet, let me explain something like what is a clause? Can you tell me?
Clause is a part of a sentence which has a complete meaning.
Yeah, that's very good. So a clause is a part of a sentence. It is larger than a phrase. Okay, it is larger than a phrase because a phrase couldn't have a complete meaning within itself, but a sentence could have. Let me write some examples over here. Here. Okay. Let me erase this one. Let me write here that Ram goes to school. Rahim goes to school. Okay. So these are two separate sentences, isn't that? But here, instead of separating them into two sentences, we make it a sentence, a single sentence. Why? Because both the person are doing the same thing, that is going to school. Okay. Now we can make it one single sentence, just omitting one thing, that is this portion. Okay. Ram and Rahim. If I will say that Ram and Rahim, then we have to change here because it is plural form. So here we have to change the verb as well. So Ram and Rahim is going to school. So that is what the function of complex sentence and compound sentence, to subtract the elaborateness of any sentence. Okay, to extract the gist from that particular phrases or particular paragraphs. Okay, that's why we sometimes practice how to write summaries, paraphrases, and precise writing. Okay, so that is also very important, and that is the practice. You can say that, okay, only when you will know about joining. Okay, and based on joining, this sentence are called sentences are of three types. One is simple, complex, and compound. So this example was about compound sentence. Now in complex sentence, what happened? Sentences are being combined together using certain clauses. As you mentioned that, okay, a clause is a part of a sentence that could have a complete meaning. Now let me write an example here. Simply, see this example, see this sentence. Here are two clauses. Now clauses has also several types. One is basically there are two clauses. One is independent, another one is dependent. If the clause is dependent on the main clause, okay, then that is what is called subclause or a dependent clause. And the main clause has its own meaning. Even if you will remove the subclause, it will have its own meaning without affecting the essence of the sentence. Now, Rabindranath Tagore, if you will see here, Rabindranath Tagore is the subject. And regarding this subject, there are two clauses. One is wrote Gitanjali, another one is got Nobel Prize in 1930. So here, one thing is the main clause and another one is called subclause. Just a minute. Okay, Ravindra, let me color them so that it is very easy to understand. See here, this sentence has three parts. One is the subject, and regarding that subject, we have two clauses. One is an independent clause, another one is a dependent clause, or main clause and a subclause. Okay. Now here, what is the subclause? Can you tell me, or what is the dependent clause? Can you tell me? Anyone?
The clause which depends upon the subject.
But both the clauses are dependent on the subject. Here, both the clauses are dependent on the subject, that is Rabindranath Tagore. But this is the clause that is from who to Gitanjali. Okay. If you will remove this, the sentence will not affect its sense. Okay. It will not lose its sense. Rabindranath Tagore got Nobel Prize in 1930. We do not have the requirement to say that, okay, why did he got that Nobel Prize? Because that thing is the thing which has been dependent on the main clause, that is getting Nobel Prize. This is the main clause. Okay. So both the clauses depend on the subject. Both the clauses have dependence on the subject, and one clause is dependent on another clause. That clause that I have removed from here, let me bring that once again. Okay, this clause is dependent on what? This clause is dependent on the main clause, that is getting Nobel Prize. That's what is called complex sentence. Okay.
I just want to ask you a quick question here.
Like
Yes.
Rabindranath Tagore,
Mhm.
who wrote Gitanjali and
Yes.
received Nobel Prize in 1913. Can we have the sentence like this here?
Yes, obviously, it could have. Yeah, that could also be a correct one. Okay. Instead of saying got over here, you can write received. Okay.
Received, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, you can write both this sentence. Sorry, word.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is also applicable. There are so many other rules and regulations. To be honest, there are n numbers of hundreds of rules to framing complex sentences. There is also so many rules from transformation of sentences. In transformation of sentences, you will be given one sentence, but that is your work that you have to do in class 10th standard or 11th standard. That is up to that level. But right now, you do not have to think about this. What is important for you is that you try to read about what is phrases, noun phrase and verb phrase in detail, and try to you know practice how to draw the tree diagram of a sentence. Okay, that will be helpful because that is a very important topic. You may ask questions regarding that. Okay, you will be given one sentence like, okay, the boy is going to the school with bicycle or by bicycle. So that will be a sentence, and you have to divide the entire sentence into noun phrase and verb phrase. Then you have to determine, okay, what is noun, verb, adjective, preposition, conjunction, and then you have to put it to noun phrase and verb phrase, and you have to show the tree diagram. Okay, as I have shown it. So that will be very important. And these things are not so important, but they can also ask some questions that, okay, what is sentence? What are the types of sentence? Then you have to give some little definitions with some one or two examples. Okay. So if they also talk about, if they can also ask that what is complex sentence, then a complex sentence is nothing but a complex sentence is one which is combined of two or more than two clauses, okay, together. That is what is called complex sentence. In compound sentence as well, okay, here we use compound words like compound linking words like and, but, or, if, okay. So if you will come, I will go. Such kind of sentences like I have mentioned here, like Ram and Rahim. Okay, both of them are actually doing the same action or same thing. So why we do have to write it again and again? So in order to erase that kind of extra description, we can put it into complex and compound sentence. Okay. So this was all about simple, complex, and compound sentence. In our early days, when I was in my 10th standard, I had to do a lot of transformation practices regarding something is in simple sentence, make it a complex or compound, from compound to complex. Okay, so this was a task of the students of 10th standard. Now, what you have to do is that you just have to have a basic idea about this, because at the beginning of the book, it has been written that, okay, this book is not for making you a philologist or a linguist, but to make you aware about the things that is there in that particular language, that is English. Okay, so you just have to have an overview. In the next class, we will talk about sociolinguistics and the varieties of English language. Now, so far, if you have any doubt in any queries, you can ask me. Okay. What is the strength today? 20. Just a minute.
So could you please explain the tree diagram once again, as you said it is very important, with another example?
Just a minute. Okay, I will explain it.
I think it sounds better if we say the boy from convent school of Telangana.
You are not audible, sir.
Am I audible?
Yeah, now you're audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm sorry for that. So let me tell you that tree
You know,
diagram. Yeah.
we are a little bit worried about this subject because
Hmm.
in our offline classes,
Mhm.
have much interactive sessions.
Obviously,
And this is vast. I mean, there's too much to, download on our minds. And
obviously.
we have very less time. I don't know how we're going to manage this.
When are your exams are going to conduct?
Not sure, maybe around August, September.
Okay. So you have time, you can finish it. Because I have covered almost all the things. I have give you an ideal, overview about all the chapters, all the units. What you have to do, if you will just go through once, if you will give a reading, okay, a bird's eye view on the each and every unit, it will be very clear for you. Otherwise, if you really require my PPT, I will share it. Okay. But for that, what I have to do is that I have to take permission. Otherwise, I can share it with our HOD. She will share it with you. Okay.
Yes, that would be better. And the other thing is that
Ah.
the first class you discussed about, you shared about consonants, the sounds. So if we can get the practical, knowledge of that, like the sounds, how that letter sounds, how that particular
Mhm.
consonant sounds. If you
Yes.
can make us practice in the class, that would be great.
Yeah, that would be better. But the problem is that we have limited periods of classes. I had only 8 periods to take for this subject. Now, within 8 periods, there are 20 chapters or 20 units. It is really very difficult, even for a linguist to complete. Okay. So, yeah, that is the problem. Otherwise, it will take not even 6 months is enough to complete in a practical classes, because it is purely a practical subject, talking about English language, talking about the origin of language. These are the things that we talked about in our previous classes. Isn't that?
Yeah.
Yes. So in tree diagram, let me tell you, because tree diagram is a very important concept in terms of grammatical one. Okay, so first of all, you have to divide the sentence into two portions. One is noun phrase, another one is verb phrase. In verb phrase, there will be other constituent parts like determiner will also be there, preposition, conjunction, adverb. So preposition phrases will be there. So you first of all identify the sentence into divide it into two parts. Then in each parts there will be some other phrases as well. As I already mentioned that okay, a phrase can connect with another phrase to extend the length of the phrase. So within a phrase there could be many phrases. So you have to identify that in second stages after dividing into two portions. Then you have to identify the words. Okay, what the word is actually about. Is it a determiner, an article, a preposition? And then you have to write it below that word. And then you have to mark it with vertical lines and connect it with noun phrase. If you are talking about only noun phrase or the constituents of the noun phrase, then if it is done, then you have to go to the verb phrase. And then again, you have to make some similar points and then connect it with vertical lines with verb phrase, and both this noun phrase and verb phrase will connect with sentence that is S. Okay. So this is
Okay.
the process. Yeah. So if you really need the PPTs, okay, whatever I have, so you have to talk with your HOD. If she will ask me, I will share it with her. Okay. And she will share, because she even don't want me to personally involved with you people. Okay. This is a very practical class. Sorry, even this is a live class, so I don't have that right to do that. So you have to talk with madam. Okay, so we'll meet in the next class and we will finish this complete subject superficially. Okay,
Okay.
tab tak
Thank
be
you.
happy.
Mm.
Okay,
Take
have a
care.
good day.
Bye bye. Thank
Okay.
you. Bye bye.
Thank you.